Hello world, Noah here. This past weekend, January 19th through the 22nd, I got the opportunity to compete at the PennApps 2018 winter season. If you don't know what it is, it's a hackathon that takes place at the University of Pennsylvania, 36-hour hackathon. And if you don't know what a hackathon is, it's essentially an event, generally 24 to 48 hours straight, where you work in a team to create some new piece of technology, software or hardware, from scratch. So in the case of PennApps, we had from 8 p.m. on Friday night until 8 a.m. on Sunday morning to build something new using technology from scratch. And so I worked with my good friends Will and Max, and we created a service called Groupify, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate for you today. So Groupify is a service that turns your phone into a 21st century jukebox by allowing other people to control your Spotify stream. So imagine if you're throwing a house party, or if you're just hanging out with a bunch of friends, and all of you are listening to music and you all want to listen to your own music. You're all listening together and you want to suggest music to play. And so instead of having to fight over the aux cord and figure out, who gets to play their music and when and all of that, you can use the Groupify app to allow everyone to send the music they want to hear to one phone, and all of that music will play off that one phone in the order that it's received. Or let's say that you're an Uber driver and you want to give your passengers a unique experience. So when they get into your car, they'll have the ability to control the music that plays in the car while they're a passenger. And then when they leave, the app will go back and just play your own music. The great thing about the app, first of all, is that it uses Spotify, so you have access to over 30 million songs, but also only the host, only the person whose device is playing the music will need a Spotify premium account or a Spotify account at all. Anyone else, as long as they have a cell phone, is capable of controlling the stream, whether or not they have a Spotify account, whether or not it's a premium account, so on and so forth. And so I'm not going to say any more. I'm just going to give a demo here to show you exactly, how it works. So I'll go ahead and launch the Groupify app on my phone here. And the first thing it's going to ask me to do is log in with Spotify. So as I mentioned, you do need a Spotify premium account in order to stream the music from Spotify. But again, only the host will need that account. So I'm going to tap login with Spotify, and it's just going to ask me to authenticate through the Spotify website, and I'm going to say OK, and it's going to take me right back to the app. So this is what the home screen looks like, but before we talk about it, let's go into the settings and set everything up. So the first thing that we want to do is set the default playlist. I'm going to choose the Groupify demo playlist that I made, and so basically when there's no music in the queue, it will just play your default playlist. So if there's no music that's waiting to be played, if no one has requested any music, then you get to listen to your own music. You then have the option to shuffle the default playlist or not. So basically, if it's turned on, then when it's your own music that's playing, it'll shuffle through the playlist. If it's off, then it won't. For the purposes of this demo, I'm not going to turn it on, just so I can show you how it works and how it transitions between queued songs and default songs and so on. And the final thing is a toggle to allow explicit music. You can turn this off in settings where you don't want explicit music to play, and if someone requests a song that's explicit, it just won't allow that song to be played. And so that's all for now. I'm going to go ahead and tap save, and you'll notice that it loads up the first song. So here's the Spotify playlist that I'm using for the demo. It simply contains 5 songs, but that'll be more than enough to sort of show off all the features. You'll notice it starts with A Lack of Color, my all-time favorite song, and that's the song that it loaded up first in the default playlist. Okay, so I can go ahead and tap play, and the song is going to play now. I'm not going to put the music in the video because I don't want to get a copyright strike or anything like that, but I can assure you that the music is streaming directly from Spotify, and it's actually quite fast. Pretty much as soon as you press the play button, it's going to immediately start playing, which is nice. And so just take a quick look at the playlist again. When this song ends, or if I choose to skip ahead, it's just going to play the next song in the playlist. So now it's going to play Falling Into You by May, which is the second song in the playlist. Okay, so now let's make things interesting. Let's actually control the queue. So in the current implementation, all you have to do is interact with a text message based bot. So basically you'll text a special number and you'll give it some information and it'll be able to play songs for you. So the most important piece of information that you need is your Groupify ID, and that's that 8-character code at the top of the screen, 12D4AB4D. So you get a random 8-digit code when you first create your account, and then every time you reset the token, you'll get a new one. So you can always reset the token, and I'll demonstrate that at the very end. But basically, once you have that token, you'll tell people to text this number. I'm going to hide the number for this video, but it will be just the number people will text. And so let's just say hello for a second. And then it'll say it needs the Groupify token. So I'm going to go ahead and type that token out just like that. And this is a standard text message, so I'm doing it on my laptop, but it's going through my phone. But anyone who has a cell phone, it can be an iPhone, Android, Windows phone, it doesn't even have to be a smartphone. As long as you can send a text message, you can interface with Groupify. And so it's saying which song should I play. And so I'm going to cue the song Mr. Brightside, if I can spell. So I'm going to say Mr. Brightside. Oh, put 2 spaces. That might not work. No, let's try it with 1 space. Okay, or with no spaces rather. Okay. So that'll cancel that last request because I messed it up a little bit. But then it's going to tell me that there are multiple songs available, and I want to play this first song, Mr. Brightside by The Killers. So I'm going to type 1, and then it's going to tell me that it queued the song. So back on the app, if I go ahead and open the queue, you'll see that Mr. Brightside is now in the queue. And so when this song ends, or when I go to the next song, it's going to play Mr. Brightside, which is not in the playlist. The next song on the playlist is Fire and Rain by Acceptance. But it's going to play Mr. Brightside, and then when that song ends, or if I hit the next button, then it's going to play the next song on the playlist, which is, of course, Fire and Rain. So basically, a song was added to the queue, then it interrupted my regular playlist to just play that one song, and then when that song ended, or I chose to skip it, then it just went right back to the playlist I was doing before. The other thing you can do is you can actually ask for a specific artist. So I'm going to ask for the artist Lydia. And then it's going to pull in the top songs from that artist. And so I'm going to choose song number 3. So I like that song. And then it's going to queue that song. And again, that will show up in the queue when I go to the next song. The next song on my playlist is I Miss You by Blink-182. But it's going to play The Sounds in Your Dream, which is the song that I just queued. And then when that song ends, of course, it'll go back and play the next song in the playlist. That's basically all. So just to quickly wrap it up. So if I go to the next song, it's going to play the last song on the playlist, which is The Line. And then finally, if I go to the next song, it's going to loop back to the beginning and pause, which is basically what Spotify would do if you don't have, repeat turned on. And then, I can just play from there, so on and so forth. And then finally, when I'm all finished, I can open up the settings and reset my token. And now you'll notice I have a different token. And if I try to queue a song, so let's say that I try to queue a May song, for example, it's going to tell me that the token has expired, and it's going to wait for me to type in a new token. So basically, when you're done with your current session and you want to stop people from being able to control your stream, then you simply reset your token. Very simple. Now, this app also works if it's running in the background or if your phone is locked. So if you're the Uber driver in that example from before, you can have your navigation open. If you are throwing a party in the other example, you can have your phone locked so that people can't, play with it, but it will still play all of your music. And as songs are added to the queue, they will still play out of the queue. And so that's basically everything for Groupify. We built the app. Basically, it's an app and a server backend that also interfaces with the text messaging. We built it in about 16 to 18 hours. out of the 36 total hours that we had for the competition. Unfortunately, we did not place in the top 30, but we had a lot of fun and we learned a lot of new stuff. So as far as the future of Groupify, because I do actually want to continue working on it, the first thing I'll have to do is contact Spotify, because I will need permission from them in order to use their iOS SDK in an app that I publish on the App Store. And there's a very good chance that they would just say no. And in fact, I anticipate that they will probably say no, that I won't be allowed to do that. And if that's the case, then for the large part, Groupify would probably, be dead at that point. But if on the off chance I'm allowed to publish it, then I'm going to move from a text messaging based system for queuing to a web-based system. So you'll visit a website on your mobile phone's browser, and that'll be a little bit easier as far as queuing songs, and that'll let me add some other features like letting people suggest songs or letting people be able to vote on songs, so on and so forth. It'll be a little bit easier to use online as opposed to through a text messaging bot, but the texting bot worked great for the time constraints that we had. And if this gets approved by Spotify, then I will consider and I will work towards putting the app on the App Store, setting up the infrastructure, as far as my web server to be able to handle it, and whatever from there. So if this service seems interesting to you, if it seems like something you might potentially use, and if you have any ideas for what I could do with it, then feel free to comment in the description. But I hope you enjoyed and possibly found this interesting. And finally, I encourage anyone to go to a hackathon, no matter what your skill level is, because it's a great experience to work in a team with such a limited amount of time. It really narrows the scope of what you can do, but you can end up making a really cool product in that short amount of time that you get. So as always, subscribe if you want to see more. Comment with what you think about the service, with what you could improve, anything like that. And if you like this video, click the like button. I'll be back with some more coding videos soon. Bye for now.